Our next feature is Abby Lynn Bogomolny. Abby's the editor of New America, Writing by US Immigrants, Their Children and Grandchildren, and the author of the poetry collection People Who Do Not Exist. Her poetry and prose has appeared in many feminist journals and literary publications. Originally from Brooklyn, Abby was active in the women in print movement. Founded Burning Bush Publications and juried its annual poetry prize for 11 years. After a career as professor in English at Santa Rosa Junior College, Abby now spends time stirring a cultural soup. Please welcome Abby Bogomolny.
Thank you, Sandy. Oh, it's such an honor to be here, and thank you too for having Terry and Nancy, read the same time. It's a wonderful mix, and just thank you for everything you do for writers and community with this reading. So I'm going to start out with my new poems. Many of them are very short. A couple are poetry in form. And I'll get started. I want to just introduce a little instrument that I play with. It's a jar with water in it, but it's a special jar. It makes a good sound. So you'll hear a little bit of that with a couple of poems at the beginning, kind of stuff like that. So it's fun. It's fun. So this is more of a kind of an anthem, if you will. This is the Lightless Hour. And I'll get started. The lightless hour. Maybe it is the lightless hour that allows us to drift freely this way. The night without edges in moonlight is before us. We can escape like smoke through the window. Let us go. Let us go. In only a few minutes, they may come for us. The next one came to me when the bombing of the Ukraine started, and the same week I went through a personal disappointment. So this is a mesh, if you will, of things, events. Events may send one down the chute narrow of metallic cold. Sides close far into tunnel below. Spat into a sap sucking slot, a cement corridor dimly lit. A jagged space in which to stretch, breathe and pull ourselves to sleep. Deprivation spawns habits that gnaw at our core till we scream at others not to weep. So yeah, it's been a very difficult couple of years, really. But I'll do a little bit of memory here for you, kind of looking back at my childhood in Brooklyn. And it's still like that today in many ways. It was life beneath Brooklyn, maple leaves, foghorns and subway sounds fill the night. Sharpened sticks on concrete, stoop ball and alleyways, pensy pinkies hit the penny, playing iron tag right. Doo-wop and shoop-shoop on corners and the stoop of a second floor walk-up, small but bright. The view, a brick courtyard, a crisscross of clotheslines, socks and nightgowns, sway, echoed voices rise. An upward draft, aromas of diaspora, soup of chicken, deli, knishes of kasha, Pho, pasteles, arroz y gandules, falafels, kebabs, and cardamom biryani. Swirls of the world over streets that speak language of promise and candy stores. In corner luncheonettes, every mother to child says, "No, you can't have one. Stop touching that." When I was growing up, I tended to be a very melancholy and politically oriented adolescent, and my mother used to say to me, "Why can't you write about pretty things?" So this is a little flashback of that. In the city, why don't you write about apple blossoms, the dance of their bees on the way to the pollen, the golden frenzy of fragrant plenty, peaches, walnuts, and dark sweet cherries? She asked me why I did not swoon from the soft bright smile in a baby's room. I don't know. Perhaps it is me. Well, why don't you write about it? Why don't you? You must try to follow the swoop of the swallow, the drop and the swoosh as the sky turns mellow. But where would I go to see these scenes? Certainly not here. So yeah, um, this is also inspired by a very early childhood memory, a couple of them here. Um, it's the body in the street and other childhood trivia. Little girl looks out the living room window. Across the street stops the B-23 to Flatbush and downtown Brooklyn. Then she scratches her knees. Esther sees him fall downstairs on a broken curb like refuse in the street. He is down in the gutter and the bus stops too late. One more step and he would have been safe. So his wife sues the city, though everyone said if you fight City Hall, you'll have to wait. Stuffy radiator heat, her room off the kitchen, door doesn't close, too many layers of paint. A square wooden cabinet holds a Dumont TV, black and white, a size of the screen, a huge dinner plate. It has AM and FM, many bands of reception. She tunes into pilots over JFK. She loves her distant voices, the distant voices. At night, she's not alone. When her parents sleep, she's in the air above the sea. Their voices help solve the mysteries of flying, and when it's dark, the TV becomes a lion. Mother knows the sounds of the neighbors, their footsteps on the stairs and how they close their doors. She knows Dad is home when she hears the garbage cans, and he makes unique associations of his own. If you want to know if it's windy outside, just look in the toilet bowl. What? Yeah, the pipes from the commode vent up to the roof and meet the pressure of the wind to move the water when it blows. Huh? Huh. She comes home from school, and all the women in the building stand by the mailboxes down in the hall. Paint all over, they say it's graffiti, swirls of spray, a real messy scrawl. By Abramowitz, Gelberg, Hertz, and Hoffman reads the line, "They should have killed you in the camps." But next to Bogomolny, they wrote cheese. So we grin for a second and see the light bulb is gone. Then Mom gets news when she opens her mail, though it's been months since the body in the street. His wife lost the lawsuit with the city because they found that he walked outside the crosswalk before he fell. Neighborhood lessons tell us a message, deal with people one to one, because City Hall isn't well. Yeah, so maybe it's changed, but maybe not. So I played with some villanelles, and I have two of them coming up. One really is about California and the border, and the next one is more of an environmental one. So This one is called Mother's Day, um, written about a year or two ago. Mother's Day. After orders have been given and fresh flowers are placed in the vase, complex feelings must be hidden. Very fine people avoid a tiff. Take mom to lunch on Mother's Day after orders have been given. During the meal, truthin' and fibbin' about yards to be cleaned and trees to be sprayed. Complex feelings must be hidden. Very fine people drive deaden asylum seekers away after orders have been given. Take toddlers from the love of mommy e papi in tears, yet complex feelings must be hidden. See detention camps, profit driven, chain link enclosures gray. After orders have been given, complex feelings must be hidden. Villanelles are usually about very light-hearted subjects and romance, and um, I seem to not do that. But this one's another one. Scrape the toast. My mother used to say, if I ever burned the toast, you better scrape the toast. So this is her voice, really. Um, Scrape the toast. Weight loss in polar bears most. Struggle me a river, a coastline, a campus. It's burning now. You have to scrape the toast. Good work lost as lunatics boast, serving up portions of flim flam dust. More weight loss in polar bears most. Touch me a penny, turn off the roast, put both feet on the brake, slow down the bus. It's burning now, you have to scrape the toast. Missing kelp forests on California coast, years of warming currents, sudden collapse, still weight loss in polar bears most. 2 centuries of drilling are over, says the host, and the party of 8 billion humans in the buff is burning now. You have to scrape the toast. Green leafy farms, tie in your solar to the post. Carbon stays in the ground, get over the fuss. Slow weight loss in polar bears most. Because it's burning now, we have to scrape the toast. I wanted to say, ain't that the truth? But we're doing the best we can. And it's June, and June, among other things, means Pride Month. So I have a couple of poems that speak to that in various ways. Here's one, little melancholy one, or sort of, called Natural. It's a sonnet. Grateful for tea, milk, and honey this morning. Random thoughts of weather, birds, and cats. Who went where, with whom, and they did that. Nothing holds back thick brews of swirls and storming. And plans to alter a gauze fabric of laws that keep so many tangled in its net, as waste while others soar without regret, lifelong scars that cut without pause. Solo call of gray morning dove stirs the soundscape chatter of the air, memories of pressure masked by care about one's gendered choice of whom to love. Seasons of queer passion go a flood. Natural patterns are nested in the blood. So I was on a sonnet thing for a while. Thank you. And this is another one. I wrote several during our lockdown during the pandemic. And this one takes a lot of poetic license because I discovered that when the moon is in its early phase, This is called Young Moon, and it's in its early phase. It actually rises at noon and sets around midnight. So I made this a little different. So that's the poetic license, and it's called Young Moon. She rose in the east of evening, ghost-like and pale, across from a mandarin sunset afire. Her thin curves concerned me, kept me mired on her safety, moving lonely and frail. In a universe of danger and asteroids, I willed the use of my thick black wings for her blanket and warmth, the fated thing, though the sky's dim light left me compromised. I stationed myself above the cooling earth as her rise flew far above my perch. Unheard and unseen by bear, bat, or lark, her wedge of light daggered the dark. How mistaken I was before to think her less. See how she beams bright and strong in her crest. I know I walked outside one day and just said, that poor moon, how is she going to survive? She's so thin. And she showed me up. So so this is sort of a pride one. I have a couple, and maybe I'll just read this the sonnet one. What are we doing here? Oh, not. Oh no, this is not a sonnet. This is a spoof. It's dedicated to June 26, 2013 and 2015, real important dates in the life of many LGBT people who wanted to marry legally. But I had a little different take personally, but I was happy for it, of course. But here you go. So it's June 26, 2013 and 2015. Today's class for women will feature the virtues of wiping. Counters, mouths, tables will be oh so messy unless we wipe the top of the ketchup, a spot on her blouse of our honey running to her job in a world that did not until now name our wiping wifely. But I have been using a clean sponge to clear crumbs on Formica and logged many years of wifely time before United States versus Windsor. Much wiping of stains without meaning has ceased to be funny, living in the margins and hollows of want before Hollingsworth versus Perry. So today's class for women will herald the month of June as a month for pushy femmes to take pride in all that our wiping has earned. This was at the height of the no help, like the no hope of the pandemic time. You know, it was dark, it was winter, and nobody knew how long we were going to be in our separate little cells, if you will. Pandemic moon. I rarely visit your embassy of care with eyes cast down at shiny squares of chroma. When you rise and set is no longer clear in the valley of the hidden moon, Sonoma. I so believe the hubris of my screen. Alone I sip time stolen by a thief who hands me weight of hard and heavy means in moods that measure not the length of grief. I look inside to feel your cool bone shine, the darkly bright reflections of our star, a soothing light without the burn, and find a visa to home where hopes awaiting are. On long dark nights when nothing yet is certain, I imagine us all dancing when they do open the curtain. So I went through a little sonnet phase, but it probably won't last too long. Okay, so this is a pride one. It's a pride that looks back to 1775. It's called July Joy. So it's a long it's the past here. Everyone loves my husband, but I married him for his sister. We tend the garden together, as our strength and youth are equals. Most long and dusty mornings we move in harmony, through the rows, lilt and limb, step and lift, her long wavy hair tied until a need draws us to the creek, whereupon we splash, laugh, and float as her hair, a freshwater fan, envelops me in its joy. My mother knows, as she prepares meals at our hearth, that my husband labors far from here to earn the land that feeds our family. And as a son of liberty, he will be the first to fight for the colonies. I suppose he is kind compared to most men, who swear drink and treat us rather roughly. Every few months he returns, during which he hopes to leave me with child. While it's not proper to speak of such, his sister never leaves me weak or sore. But if I do not look forward to this chore, it is not that I am ungrateful. We would not have this home without him, but without his sister, there would be no joy. And the last one here, um, under pink or blue lights, it speaks for itself, I think. You're not quite sure if I am blessing or curse, amuse or interruption, but I will not apologize for the ant at your picnic, the squeak in your ride, the sex in your convent, the graffiti on your wall. You still having a difficult day? I will not apologize for the static on your phone, the ham in your synagogue, the mosquito in your ear, because I am as regular as your monthly bills and just as unwelcome. But I am the infinitesimal growth of your fingernails at night. I am the tomboy and the sissy under pink and blue lights. I am the dissolution of your well-made plans. Unlike the average human, I bubble up around the plaster of your windows, but I will not apologize. I am the spawning and the fawning, the whining and the pining, the war and the struggle, the fight and the surrender, the axle and the grease. The gift sublime comes when we give up control. I cut your chains of iron, make you lose your chains of gold. It may seem like I'm random, but my work never stops. I serve the highest commander. I am the source of the exotic and the annoyingly robotic, the balance of your blood, complete and whole. If only you could read me, I would help your soul. And that's about it for today. Thank you so much.